Welcome back, everyone, to episode 97 of The Midnight Entrepreneur. I am one of your hosts, Easton Bennett, and on the other side of this Zoom call, not even a Zoom call, FaceTime, Tyler Sinden, our other co-host. Tyler, it's been a little bit since we've had a nice little chat. What is going on?
Not too much, Easton. We're out here, final couple weeks for the push for Lake Placid, for the Ironman, just knocking our client stuff away before stuff gets really busy, and then I'm focused basically on that. So yeah, that's what we're out here doing right now.
Hey, that's what we like to hear. You're getting things ready to go for the Ironman. Before we get into some of our other updates, I just want to say if you guys like the show, please show us some love, like, comment, subscribe, share, whatever you want to do. We really appreciate it, and hopefully we can provide some value in this episode and the coming episodes and previous episodes. But Tyler, good to hear you are working on your Ironman training still, as it seems, about 9 months now. Anything you got to like prepare for? Anything that's come up? Any new updates you can give us, or you're just keeping on the steady track?
It's funny you say that. So with my YouTube videos, I have this one guy, and you know how I was doing the Zwift YouTube videos? I think he ended up finding me through that, and that's what he prefers me making, that type of content. And I stopped making the Zwift content, and then I went all in on the Ironman training, and he comments on every single freaking post, and he's just like, when's this thing gonna be done and we can all go back to our lives? And it just sounds like he's being a negative Nancy. And then one of the times I was just like, hey, you don't, I replied to him, I'm like, you don't have to comment on my videos. And then he's like, oh no, I love doing this. And then I was just like, okay, whatever. So he just always comments on it. But yeah, I just finished up basically getting everything that I need. I just got new running shoes for race day. I just got a new wheel set, and hopefully that makes me go faster on the bike, and I can put up a better time than what I was hoping for. And I just bought some new tires. I'm buying a lot of stuff right now. It's my bank account's not very happy, but we're hopefully buying some stuff that can hopefully improve how we finish, and hopefully we can finish with a respectable time and ultimately qualify or hit our very ambitious goal that we set out when we first started doing this. So we'll see how it goes.
Have you ever looked into getting an electric bike for this thing? I feel like that would help a ton.
I actually think that's honestly, I'm not gonna lie, I would destroy an electric bike.
Like you would do good with one? Or
no,
you would destroy
if you had an electric bike, I would probably destroy you.
I
might be more tired after, but
Super
I'm going to beat
73?
you probably. Yeah, I'm going to beat you by like 2 hours, so.
I don't know, man. Those things are pretty much like cars, aren't they? Aren't they like little just go-karts? Like, do I even have to pedal?
I pass people on e-bikes all the time. So, I mean, depends if you try and push it and you try and go a lot faster, but I pass people on e-bikes all the time.
Maybe not then. Maybe you don't need new bikes. You just need those new tires.
You'll just be well rested for the marathon, and I'll be a little bit tired, but I'm
not adding the marathon in for me. No, thank you.
Yeah, what are you going to get? You going to get like Heelys, or are you going to get something like that?
Yeah, Heelys would be good. An electric skateboard maybe. All electric.
One of those hoverboards.
Yeah, this would be good.
One of the hoverboards. There you go.
What other updates you got for us, Tyler, on the business side of things? Good to hear the Ironman's going well.
Yeah, I just had client calls this week and got those wrapped up. And the one client's going through quite a bit of a transition, a lot of rebranding. He's changing up his logo, changing up his colors. So he's doing a little bit of the stuff that you want to be doing, but he's keeping his name the same that he has always been. It's just he's getting a new logo redesigned and different stuff like that. So he's also going through a lot of website updates, and it's taken a little bit longer than expected because he has updates, and it's like we're ended up booking another call to actually go over it live instead of being like, okay, what are we going to do here? What are we doing here? So we can actually knock it out. And I think it'll be a little bit more quick and efficient that way. And just had my other client quarterly call with her. that went well as well, and she's really excited about me with the Ironman as well. And she's like, I don't want to give you too much stuff because she has a couple updates for her website. And she's like, I don't want to give you stuff before your Ironman and whatever. I'm like, yeah, just send it by. I'll get it done when I get it done, and not a problem. And so yeah, I just had those meetings this week. And the other update that I really had was just stuff at work, where we're trying to build out new stuff. And how I mentioned it like a long time ago, where I got this new position where now I'm building out website pages for companies. And this is our first week trying this new system and process, and something that I kind of brought up. And it's honestly been really good, really quick, really efficient. Before, our process would take months to get websites done, and we're basically going to get this done within a week. The only issue that we're finding is client edits and feedback, because we're missing some information from them. So that's one thing that slowed us down, and one thing that we were talking about before, making sure we have everything up front from the client to make sure we're able to go through it nice and smoothly. And that's one issue that we kind of ran into. And I think if we did have all that information, we would have been able to knock a whole website out in a week, where it used to take 1 to 3 months. So it's like really interesting, the batching system, and it seems like a lot more efficient. So I don't know if you have any situations or circumstances whenever you have or are working with clients, and then you have to have different feedback or inputs from them. Maybe they need to give you certain information. But yeah, that's one issue that we've run into with this current situation that we're doing right now.
I've ran into it a couple times when you need a logo from a client, or maybe a font or something, a part of their brand identity. Usually if they send over the brand guide, we kind of have an idea of that, and then just the logo assets. Then we have all of the colors for the graphics, we have the logo, we have the fonts, and we can basically cover everything we need to. So that's really the only time we run into that issue. But it is good having everything up front. We try to get everything up front as well. And I don't know how you guys are collecting the upfront information, but I think even like a form of some sort would be... That's what I was thinking when you were talking about. You could send over a form and say, hey, the more thorough you fill this out, I don't know what kind of information you're collecting, I guess, but the more thorough you fill this out, the less back and forth for revisions that we need to do.
Exactly. There's one client where they gave us like no information, and it's like, okay, we don't really know what we're doing here. Like, you gave us nothing to work with. So it's like, and they didn't even give us photos. So it's like, man, we're kind of throwing shit on the wall here. Yeah. Not even that. We're just taking photos from his current website, and they're extremely small and shit quality. So it's like, okay, we're just gonna have to make do with what we have. We're gonna send it to them and be like, okay, you guys didn't give us information. This is what your website looks like. But if you were to give us information, we can make that edit, and maybe we'll have like one round of revisions. But it's just so crazy, the difference, like when you have that preparation and you have those clients that give you all that information up front, compared to other ones where they don't give you any information. It just works a lot more smoothly and efficiently. And yeah, we have this intake form. It's in a Word doc, and there's so many questions on it. So that's the issue with it. And it's like, okay, they're paying a lot of money for it. So you want to like go through and, you know, like you're paying a lot of money for this. It's not like $500. You're paying multiple tens of thousands of dollars for this new website. So you want to be willing to put that time and effort into actually filling out the form to have the best possible website. So there's just a lot of questions on it, and it can be overwhelming. It can take a lot of time. And then there's like kickoff calls that we have where we have a couple account managers, and they kind of go on the call with them, and then they'll go over, ask the questions, be like, yeah, and just kind of clarify, get a good vision of it, because there might be some disconnect from what they put in the paper to what they want, or maybe like we want to expand on certain sections. So I think just moving forward, we're just going to be saying, hey, if you don't give us all the information, either we're going to have to push you back until you do give us information, or we're going to have to find something else to do, because that just seems to be one of the biggest holdups with this whole process in creating these websites for these new builders, remodelers.
it seems like it's the new process is working well, and there's always going to be times in new processes when you do have to fine tweak things to, you've got a 90%. How do you get that last 10%? It's tweaking little things here and there based on the things that you're actually seeing when you start to implement the process. But glad it's going well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's going well. Do you have any updates on your end?
Not a ton. Just got back from Vegas yesterday as of when we're filming this. It was a good trip. Nice to just take a couple days off, not have to think about work. So back at it hard today. Really got to hammer out some edits as I leave Sunday, come back Tuesday, and then leave Wednesday to come film the Ironman with you. So the next week and a half or so are going to be, it's still going to be fun, but it's probably going to suck. Traveling back to back to back to back is never ideal. You start to get that sleeping on the road feeling. I don't know if you ever get that, but it's like, God, I just want to sleep in my own bed.
Yeah, I do feel that and get that because like nothing beats your own bed.
Oh yeah.
But I do like traveling. I do like staying in hotels. I don't know what it is. I just like the experience of traveling and being in different spots.
Yeah, I like it too. I'm excited for Topeka on Sunday. We have just a full shoot day Monday and then not much on Tuesday. And then, coming there for the Ironman. It's going to be fun. Get to hang out with you, Tyler. We're going to have to film a live podcast episode at some point because, we're not going to be able to film next week at all. So, but yeah, a little.
That's Kansas?
Topeka, I want to say so. Same, or Missouri.
Outside of North
Topeka,
Dakota.
Missouri or Kansas? God, I don't know.
I think it's Kansas. I don't know, but it sounds like you're not local and you're outside of North Dakota.
Exactly. That's a good teaser into what we're going to be talking about today. Before we get into that, though, last update I got. Of course, I was gone the beginning half of this week, so trying to get better at giving employees tasks. The one employee I have tasks while I'm gone to make sure that stuff is still getting done. And it's a learning curve. It's a learning curve on making sure that stuff's getting done to the standards that you want it to get done, and that that there's no shortcuts taken or that there's no downtime. It's like, just because Easton's gone, we still have to get stuff done. So I've had to work around that a little bit and make sure that things are getting done. But other than that, it's going good.
That's good to hear.
Yes. We can talk more off camera.
Sounds good.
Yes. Anything else, Tyler, you want to update before we get into this week's topic, which you just teased just a little bit?
No, I think that's just about everything. I'm excited for you to do all your traveling and come out here to Windsor.
Yeah, I'll be everywhere. Detroit, then Windsor, then New York, and then back. Yeah. Quebec.
Lots of traveling for you.
Yeah, it's going to be a great time. I'm sure I'll get bored by day 3 or 4. So, Perfect. All right, let's get into this week's topic. Tyler mentioned it just a couple seconds ago. We're talking about scaling business outside of your own local territory. So, of course, everyone's running their business. They're servicing the people within 10, 20, 50 miles of themselves. But we want to talk today about how do you start to service people that are 1,000 miles away or 700 miles away or 150 miles away, whatever that looks like. How do you start to expand that business and scale the business outside of your local territory? So we've kind of put together a little bit of a brief here. Maybe it's not step by step, but kind of some guidance. Tyler, I'm going to throw it over to you. How do you think you should start this? How do you even start to go about getting outside your local area? Or maybe if there's a foundation you have to establish before doing that, or whatever you think.
I believe it starts with the foundation. You got to build that base, and you don't want to branch out too soon, too fast. And I think that's what Riley and I did, where we just kind of went out and targeted everyone, where maybe that was kind of the hot topic. And a lot of people say with drop shipping or starting e-com stores, you're going to be going way too wide. And I think that's probably our issue, is we didn't really focus on our product. And that's where it comes back to. So you want to start out small and local. I think that's what you want to start out with, especially with service-based businesses like yourself with videography. And I think it just comes back to learning, growing, building your name up, especially locally. And it helps build your portfolio, build your reputation. And then people start to get to know you, get to know your name, what you do, and the quality of work that you do. And then with those this is all part of building that foundation. Once you build that foundation, then you're able to start to branch out. So I think it's a good thing to just get experience. That's probably one of the best things to do, because then it gives you a better opportunity to branch out into other areas, because you become potentially one of the best. And if you're the best, then it makes it easier to get into new markets. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, 100%. I think you hit the nail on the head there. I like to compare it to, if you look at sports. So I'll talk about hockey because I know hockey, but you want to almost dominate at the level you're at before moving up to the next level. And you can apply that same philosophy to business where, let's say you started high school. You want to make sure you're the best player in high school. You dominated high school before you go to junior hockey. And then once you're in junior hockey, you start to dominate that, become the best player there, and then you go to college hockey. And then once you dominate there, maybe you go to the minor leagues, you dominate there, and then eventually you're in the NHL. Of course, it's not always the same for business, but you want to dominate in your local area. Make sure that your product and your service is working well there. Like you mentioned, your brand is built up, your reputation is built up, people enjoy working with you, you're getting referrals. And once you have that foundation, then you can take the next step. Okay, now maybe you go to statewide. You're working with companies in your state. Okay, once your brand and your reputation is built up a little bit more in your state, now you go to the Midwest or wherever you're at, and then maybe from the Midwest to then nationwide. So I like exactly what you said. It starts from the bottom. You have to have that good foundation. There are, of course, anomalies where people start companies nationwide from the beginning and then they blow up. But a lot of times if you're running a bootstrap business, whether it's service-based or product-based, and you're just starting local with a small budget, this is probably the best route to go.
I think most businesses end up starting out locally, or at least small or niched, because you can look at so many of the big companies that are out there right now. Say with Facebook started just for college students at Harvard, and then I think they slowly branched out into the more prestigious ones like Yale and Princeton. I don't know which ones in specific, but I think they just slowly started branching out to other universities, and then it slowly started branching out and out and out. And then the same thing with Amazon. Amazon started out as an online bookstore, and then after a while, they just ended up becoming the everything store, and now they basically take over and run the world. And same thing with Airbnb. They also started out really small, where it was just a couple guys. You read the book. I think their first stuff was, there was a political debate or something. They were coming to town, and then people were trying to book rooms, and they're like, hey, let's just throw a mattress on our living room. And they lived in an apartment building. And that's how it basically started. So it's like they started in their local city because there was an event in town, and they threw a mattress on the floor. So it's just kind of crazy to think about, like, how all these massive companies started out so small, and you don't really think about it. You just see the end result of it. And that's how a lot of people probably end up failing. Like Riley and I, we failed because we probably didn't have the right vision. It's like, okay, let's go big. And that's probably not the best way to do it. You want to start out small, because we're comparing ourselves, our chapter 1, to companies chapter like 50, where they've learned and grown and done so many different things. They've built that foundation, where we never built that foundation.
100% agree. And of course, there are those times when businesses, they start, they're nationwide right away. A lot of times it's because that person has built a foundation with a different business, or maybe they built the foundation with their personal brand, so it's easier to start those businesses. Let's say Logan Paul, for example, when he came out with Prime, or is it Jake Paul? One of the Paul brothers, whoever has the Prime, he could start his Prime energy drink or hydration drink nationwide because he already had the foundation of his personal brand. But if he was to do that and start Prime with no personal brand, it's going to be way harder. It's going to be probably a situation similar to yours, Tyler, I'd say.
You could argue that he didn't actually start it out nationwide. He started out, I mean, I guess it would be locally. Yeah. I don't know how because like he started out like years ago. It just, and then Prime was just like an outcome of Logan Paul.
Yeah.
And all those years building up to it, that was just Logan put in that time and effort. And then this was just a product of all of his work that he put in. So, and I think it could also go back, like going off this example, I think Sam Altman, I think he got fired from OpenAI, which is ChatGPT, I think, and all those AI programs. And then he went out and started another new company. he's able to go nationwide because he's already built up his name. People already know who he is. And then it's like, he has all this proof that he's already been able to build companies like this. So it's like he's able to find all these people that are willing to back him financially, which makes it a lot easier for him to just start out nationwide as opposed to your local neighborhood or your local town or whatever it is. So he's able to just start out with like $100 million. And it's just like, yeah.
It's just like if Elon Musk was to start a business tomorrow, he doesn't have to start locally to wherever that guy's living now. I don't even know where he's at. Texas, maybe?
Someone's couch.
Yeah, probably. I don't doubt it. But he doesn't have
You've
to
been
start.
hearing about that?
I've heard that he just sleeps at people's houses.
Yeah, I think he sold like all of his houses, and then he's just like couch surfing.
Yeah, he's a cool guy, but it's kind of weird. He's a weird dude a little bit.
Think about that with you and
robot.
your traveling, and him not wanting to, or him never sleeping on his quote unquote bed.
Oh, be horrible. Be horrible. I'm not built for that. I'm not built for that at all. But that's all right. Tyler,
He's trying to change the world.
He is. I don't think I want to change the world like he wants to change the world.
Yeah.
And that's okay. Not everyone needs to be like Elon Musk. But if you want to be, go for it. Go for it. Tyler,
crazy visionary.
Next thing on our list here, why, we kind of hit it a little bit, but what are some other reasons that you'd want to do this, starting out small?
Why you would want to start out small?
Yeah.
Obviously,
or
just
why,
because,
or why you'd want to scale your company. We kind of talked about why we want to start out small, but why would we want to even go outside of our local community? You think there are businesses that are like, oh, we're good here. We don't need to expand.
Oh, definitely. There's lots of people that don't want to do that. They are happy exactly where they're at. I believe I told you about the Chinese fisherman proverb where I don't want to repeat it again because I butchered it the first time. I'm going to butcher it again. So it's just like some people have different values. It's like I'm happy where I'm at making, say, maybe $70,000 owning my own business, or maybe I'm happy where I'm at making $1 million. And some people just don't want to grow and build like a multi-million-dollar business or multi-billion-dollar business. They're just happy staying in their local town, supporting their local businesses, supporting their local teams, whatever it might be, and then they get to spend time with their friends, their family, whatever it is. So there's lots of people that are not willing to or don't want to. They're happy where they're currently at. And then the other reason why you would want to actually start or grow outside of your local territory is maybe you do have bigger visions in that. You don't want to just settle for living maybe at 70,000 or a million or whatever it might be. And maybe you want to start taking over. Maybe you have massive vision that you want to take over and be nationwide, or maybe you want to be global and you want to build a massive team and you want to make, I don't know, hundreds of millions or billions of dollars, or maybe you want to get publicly traded and launch an IPO. So I guess it just depends on what your actual goals are. And if you want to be bigger, then that's why you would want to do that. I don't know if you have any other different opinions or thoughts or maybe different reasons why someone would want to do this.
No, I think that's exactly right. It's either, hey, you're comfortable where you're at, which is nothing wrong. You could use a local coffee shop, for example. The local coffee shop you go to in your town, they probably don't want to expand to nationwide and start franchising their coffee shop. They're happy with their coffee shop brings in enough money for them, maybe brings in $100K a year. They get to be the favorite in their town, and that's good for them. But some people want to build a way bigger business. They want to be servicing nationwide clients. They want to be going on trips, traveling, meeting, celebrities, whatever you want. And both outcomes are totally fine. Whatever one works for you, that's what you should go for. So, of course, if you're like, hey, I don't want to scale my business outside of a local territory, go ahead, just turn this episode off. We've got nothing else for you. But if you do, then you can tune in. You can listen to the rest of the episode.
Well, I think there's also stuff in here that could help out if you are trying to, maybe you want to, because if you aren't growing, you might be falling behind because there might be someone else that comes up and then they overthrow you or something like that. But going off of what you were saying about the local coffee shop owner, it made me think about other stuff, because maybe they're just really happy and satisfied and fulfilled when they have those regular customers come in every day. They know their name, they're serving them, they give them the best service, they give them the best coffee, they are respectable to them, they just love coming in for the environment. And it made me think of the founder. I think it's the founder, McDonald's. Is it the founder?
Yep, that's that movie documentary.
Ray Kroc.
Yep.
Yeah. So where I don't know if the McDonald brothers really wanted to expand and become this nationwide, global, massive company, because they were so local and they just made it so efficient for their burgers and everything. Like, the burger's ready in 30 seconds or whatever it is. Like, every other place it takes 20 minutes, and they had it down to a science. And I feel like during the movie, Ray Kroc just kind of found it, and he kind of took over their vision and their little shop that they made. And I think they enjoyed doing what they were doing. And then he just kind of ruined it and said, no, you guys got to go nationwide. You guys got to take over the world. So it just reminded me of that. So yeah, you could just be really happy serving your local community, being extremely fulfilled. Maybe you work from 8 till 4, and then you go home, you have a happy life, and you get to do whatever you want, and you get to come into work and serve those same repeat customers, and they have a happy day because they get to come into your coffee shop or whatever it might be. So that just made me think of that.
Yeah, and I don't think either one is wrong, right? Whatever you want to do that. Whatever, at the end of the day, it's whatever makes you the most fulfilled. If it is a local coffee shop, awesome. If it is a nationwide multi-million-dollar company, then the more the merrier for you. So I've obviously went through this a little bit. I am on the side of, I probably don't want to build the next Apple. If it happens, awesome, but a billion-dollar company, it's not really what I'm shooting for. But I do want to grow the business big enough where it is multi-million-dollar business, and I'm operating hopefully a nationwide company. And some of the things that I've had to go through doing that, I bought a van to upgrade our production quality. So when we show up with all our gear and our van. Started in the local market, started delivering a good service here, a good product here, building that brand, building that reputation, like we mentioned in the beginning. And then once you see that, people start to refer you, and that's just a natural way to get outside of your area. I started getting referrals from cities in North Dakota, but they weren't obviously full-time clients, but it's picking up here and there. And then as you start to build that brand, I now partnered with Matt, who is in a neighboring city. He's in Bismarck, so now we're taking over more of the North Dakota market. And the next step, obviously, is to just get to more cities. And then once you become that go-to name in North Dakota, then you can start to branch out to maybe some neighboring states, South Dakota, Minnesota, Montana, and then you go from there. So I think a lot of people might think that it's, you master your local city and then boom, you explode to nationwide, which, of course, maybe that's happened here and there. The internet helps a lot of that stuff, but a lot of times it is a slow build out where it starts with one little dot, and that dot starts to expand into a bigger and bigger circle.
I was going to ask you that, like, what's been one thing that's gotten you to where you're at? And I was just thinking, like, it's the amount of time and consistency that you've put in, because, like, you obviously started out extremely small. You started out with the free video that you shot of the documentary of the baseball team, and then you slowly build your way up. You get more gear, you get more production quality, you get better production quality, you get better at your stuff, and then slowly you get bigger companies starting to reach out to you, and then you start to branch out, and slowly that word of mouth just starts spreading, where people in different neighboring cities and towns are just like, I use this guy, he was really good. And then it just slowly starts to build out from there. So yeah, from what it seems, it didn't happen overnight. And kind of like what you were saying, it seems like that hockey stick growth curve, where it's like you're local, and then a neighboring city, neighboring town, and then it just slowly starts to build up from there.
Exactly. And it's a lot of times it's not something that I was actively planning for. That's like, okay, now I need to get into this neighboring city. It just started to happen naturally, and I think it's because just caring about the product or service that you're providing. So I always wanted to make better videos. How can I make these videos look better? Okay, I have to invest in better equipment. How can I make this look better for the client? If we show up with a 5-person crew instead of just me showing up, how can we make this better? And I always just cared about the quality of the product and the quality of the service and the quality of the process that the client goes through. And the more I cared about that, the more it returned back in my favor. So it's not like I was like, man, we need to get here, and then we're going to go to Minnesota, and then after Minnesota, we'll take over the Midwest. It just really boils down to caring about your product or your service, where I think a lot of people skip over that. I've seen a lot of people in the same industry as me. I've seen a lot of people in other industries, and they get it to a serviceable level, but then after that, it's like, okay, now how do we expand? I'm like, well, how about you just keep making your product or service better and go from there? So that's one thing hopefully people don't forget, is that you still need to care about your product and service at the end of the day. Try to make that as best as you possibly can and keep iterating it to make it better and better.
So you just mentioned it at the end there, but do you have any tips on how you improved, how you looked at your services, and how you basically improved everything to be able to deliver that best possible quality product to the end user?
A lot of times I would just look at competitors, and I don't really love using the word competitors because I'm looking at people that are creating nationwide commercials or documentaries. I'm comparing my work to stuff on Netflix, right? Is Netflix Productions one of my competitors? No, not really. Is the people creating the Nike commercials one of my competitors? No. But the more you look at that kind of work, the more you can figure out, okay, how did they do this? Because they're doing that, it's working, they're getting these big clients. How can I start to make my stuff look like that, or my stuff sound like that, or my stuff draw as much attention as that? So that's what I would look at as far as expanding when it was, how can I make my product better? I don't know if that answered your question or not, but maybe a little.
Yeah, it's just kind of learning from others in the industry. I don't know if you ever connected with other video content creators, or I wouldn't classify them as that, but like videographers or producers, and maybe you joined them on set to see what they do, and then you picked up little behaviors that they do, or maybe you see something like what you were saying with the Netflix stuff. Maybe you're just seeing different transitions or different storytelling, different lines and stuff like that. It just seems like you're constantly learning from other people and then kind of iterating it into yours with your own style.
It's definitely learning. I mean, I'm always learning. I'm always trying to take things from movies or commercials or whatever I see. And if we go back to the coffee shop example, I would do the same exact thing if I was running a coffee shop. How are all these big successful coffee shops? What are they doing? Maybe I would go and visit them. For me, it was easy because I could watch movies, or I could watch TV shows, or I could watch YouTube videos and kind of learn off of that. But if you're in a industry where, you can't really watch videos on a coffee shop, maybe you can if someone's explaining things, but it would be beneficial to go to these other places. So if I'm traveling, okay, there's this #1 rated coffee shop in Philadelphia. I'm going to go there. I'm going to see why it is. Maybe they have very interesting furniture. Maybe their staff is super friendly, or, maybe they have a different machine that's making their coffees, or whatever it is. I would just look at your competitors, not as competitors, but almost as mentors. You could say that. If I'm looking at the people that create Nike commercials, that would be my mentor. I want to create a commercial like that. Let's try to learn from them.
I like the story that Alex Hormozy always talks about. Maybe not always, but he mentions quite a bit, with this one guy that wanted to start his own cookie company. And what he did, he spent basically a year traveling to different cookie shops throughout the U.S., the best cookie shops, to try be like, hey, is it possible for me to just shadow you and see what you do and learn your stuff and taste your cookies? And that's basically what he did for a whole year, to try and be the best and learn from the best. And after that, he just went through so many different iterations, and he tried to test out the market locally. And that's exactly where he started. He started local, and he would make cookies, and then he would give them out to everyone in the local community, and he would collect their information. And when he would collect their information, he'd be like, okay, so what did you like? What don't you like? And just learn from that. So he went through a whole process of going to different cookie shops throughout the whole US and then testing locally. And then when he did end up opening his shop, he obviously has a really good product because he took all these different people from his local community to get feedback, and then also going to all these massive, the best cookie shops shops in the world, or cookie bakeries, whatever you want to call them, in the US. And when he did open up the shop, he had all that contact information, and then he's like, hey, we're opening X date, come and check us out. So it's like he already has a list before he even opens up, because he got it when he was doing his testing. So he basically spent so much time learning and testing and creating the best possible product before he actually launched his product. So I think a lot of people skip over that part, myself included, where you're not really testing and learning and becoming the best at what you do in your industry. So I do really like that story.
For sure. I love the fact that you're actually getting market feedback before you're like, okay, let's have this product and then let's send it out there. A lot of times I see people doing this with different products they have. So maybe it's, t-shirt designs. Instead of ordering 10 boxes of each design, test your market and see, okay, well, people don't really like this one, or people don't really care for this one, but they love this one. Okay, well, then double down on the one that people actually like. And not that you even have to order the shirts, but maybe you have some sort of design voting type thing. Or if you're deciding what material to use, buy one of each and have people feel it and see what they actually like best before you just take a jump on, well, this product looks good, it has good reviews, let's try it. And it turns out people hate it. So I do like that upfront learning.
Yeah, I kind of wish Riley and I did that before we started.
Hey, well, you're learning,
but
now.
You live and you learn.
Yeah,
exactly. If I ever start like something like that, I would definitely. I kind of just want to do that. I want to take like a year and just try. I don't know what it would be, but just like go do what that guy did with the cookie shop. Like I freaking love cookies and sweets, so maybe I'll open my own bakery.
You couldn't do it. You'd have to.
As long as I train for my Ironman and I burn like 5,000 calories every day, then I can have as many cookies as I want.
There you go. That's fair. Hey, if you burn more calories, you can have 3 1,000 calorie cookies, and all you got to do is run a little bit more.
Yeah. I'll just eat them on the ride. It'll be fuel.
Yeah, exactly. Tyler, we obviously live in 2024. The internet is giving us some crazy opportunities as far as how to expand and how to get outside of your local area. What are some ways do you think people can expand their business? And of course, we don't have to dive terribly far into these because I think we have an episode all about it. But what are some of the ways that people can expand?
Yeah, there's so many different ways, especially with technology nowadays. It's just making sure you have a website. If you have a website, then you're able to send people to that, and then they're able to maybe view some of your different work that you've done. For you specifically, you have your website, and then you have videos of past projects you've worked on, so people can get a glimpse to see of how good of work that you actually do. Whereas like if you don't even have a website, they don't even know how good of work that you do. So it helps you get out there. And if you are trying to get into a new market, I think having the website is key, because like there's a lot of new form of advertising, say with Google ads or Facebook ads. Then you would be able to dive into sending people to your website, and I think that helps out really easily. And then you'd be able to make a landing page for that specific area. Maybe say you want to branch out into Los Angeles, maybe you make a landing page specific to that and use verbiage that's directed towards them. It's like, hey, are you in Las Vegas or Los Angeles? I think Los Angeles, and you want blah blah blah. So you're able to create a page that's directed to that. Whereas if you just have a website, it's just probably going to be really broad. Like especially for you right now, it might be really broad where it's just like video services. So if someone from Los Angeles gets there, it might say either North Dakota or broad, and they're like, okay, I'm in the wrong spot. Mm-hmm. So I think the website is like a very good starting point to be able to get into new markets.
It's almost a must. I would say if you don't have a website and you're trying to go from your local market to a place 1,000 miles away from you, you need to have some sort of website, at least something that people can go to and look at. It doesn't have to be a 15-page, super in-depth website, but at least something to show people. It reminds me of when I was in Vegas this last week. I was at the pool, and side note, it was 120 degrees. I was there for the record. The Vegas temperature, 120 degrees, is pretty awesome. But I was in the pool, and this guy was right next to our day bed, and he started talking to us. His name was Jimbo. It ends up he owns a gym in Florida. And we started talking. We were probably talking for about 30, 45 minutes in the pool. And I got his number, and he's actually looking for some high-quality production. So I got his number. I texted him. He just texted me this morning and said, hey, send me your website so I can check it out and see what we can do. So just having something to point to, that's 2 Vegas trips in a row where people have met somebody that wants some business. But just
How
having...
did the first one turn out? Anything there?
Forgot to text that guy. So don't do that, guys. There's my advice. Don't do that.
Yeah. You got to follow up.
I should.
Keys in the follow-up.
Hey, remember me from Absinthe? But yeah, I'm gonna shoot Jimbo a message back after this and send him my website. But yeah, it just goes, and that kind of goes into the next thing as well, is networking and events or conferences. The more people you know, the more opportunities are going to open up for expanding your business outside of your local area. If you know someone in Dallas, Texas, and you live in Florida, maybe that connection there and that friend somehow gets you a job that's close to Texas because they know that you do it. And then all of a sudden you're flying from Florida to Texas for work. If you have 15 of those people all across the country that you know, maybe some calls start popping up here and there, and now you are this nationwide video person in my instance, where you're going all over the country filming these different things. So one big thing is networking. I know people always say it, your network is your net worth, but it's pretty cliche, but it is true. The more people you know, the more opportunities are going to open up for you.
Yeah, I agree. I think a lot of people do end up going there just to try and market their self and their services, and even trade shows. That's another good opportunity to go there as well, to try and branch out. But for me personally, my business, one of the areas that I ended up growing or gaining new clients is online groups, specifically the mastermind / coaching group that I'm in. And then you could also join Facebook groups. But if you are to do this, I would recommend just providing as much value as possible and not trying to sell. And then if you provide enough value to people, I think they'd be willing to ask you, hey, what do you do? Like, how can I help you? What, blah, blah, blah. Mm-hmm. There was one group that I ended up joining. I don't know if that guy would have been able to help, but literally every single comment he would comment on, give his input, help them out, do whatever. It seemed like he had like a critical task of spending like 2 hours in this group every single day to answer the questions. And he's just always there. Like, that was like the guy, like Riley and I knew his name, and we had never talked to him. He was just always commenting, and always trying to provide value. I don't know if there was a way that you'd be able to like help him. Maybe like you could support his business. So I think if you do end up joining, there's so many different Facebook groups out there that you could join. Like maybe you're in e-com, and you're a marketer or something for e-com businesses. Go in that group and then just see if they ever have any marketing questions and try and provide as much value as possible. And then I think if you're able to do that, they might be willing to say, hey, this guy's provided me so much value. Why not just hire him and have him do everything? So those are a couple different ways that you could also branch out into new locations and territories.
And if you can find a group that is your ideal audience and just answer their questions without selling your product or service, I think that'll help a ton in getting back-end business just from people, like you said, seeing it. Like if we use Nuevo, for example, if you joined some sort of, wallet or watch Facebook group, and people are like, oh my gosh, what's the best material that I need to keep my watches in? And you can comment on there and be like, hey, suede is the best. It keeps them shinier. I would stay away from leather because it does this, or whatever your input is. You're not trying to sell your watch roll, but eventually that might come back and get you some sales. Or wallets, what's your guys' favorite kind of wallet? And people are like, oh, bifold. And you could say, oh, we have this AirTag one. That's awesome. People love the AirTag part, but we also these wooden ones. People are really like something like that. If you can find your ideal audience and start to answer some of their questions without being salesy and pushy, it's going to help you on the long run.
I do like that idea. That's something that we could definitely do, but we just don't spend enough time or really any time on Weibo, but that definitely would be a pretty solid idea to do. And I know there's one that you did for quite a while. I don't know if you did the emails, but do you want to touch on cold outreach?
Yeah, cold outreach is another thing you can do if you want to expand into different markets. Start reaching out to people in those different markets. If you're like, man, I'm in New York and I really want to start working in Baltimore, start reaching out to people in Baltimore and just having conversations. See where those conversations get you, whether that's on LinkedIn, whether that's on email, whether that's cold calling people where, I don't really like cold calling people, so I never did that. But have those conversations and make those connections, because the more connections you have, the better off you are to start getting work in that desired city or location. There's two different ways to do cold outreach. If you just want to make some soft connections and meet people, or if you want to have a strategy where, hey, I'm going to try to sell this person. Here's my cold outreach strategy, whether you're sending them videos over email, breaking down their website, or if you're just trying to go the easy path, you want to just shoot a message on LinkedIn and say, hey, saw you live in Baltimore. Just thought I'd make a connection. Maybe we'll work together someday. Whatever you want to say. There's two ways to go about it. But yeah, cold outreach is fantastic for just reaching out to people and making those connections.
I know you did LinkedIn outreach for a bit, and I'm not sure if that led to any projects, but I know you were getting a lot of discovery calls out of it, and it seemed well at the time, and you were like dedicated when I was there, and then it just kind of seemed to fall off. I don't know if you just got busy or excuses came up, but yeah, it did seem like a pretty decent tool. I did cold outreach for emails, but that didn't go too well. The volume, I definitely didn't do enough volume, but I feel like you had some success with the LinkedIn.
It is a volume game for sure. I got a few calls out of it. I didn't get any specific jobs from LinkedIn. I got 1.5 jobs maybe from the email video pitches I was doing. I think it's definitely a strategy that works, but you really have to put the time in. And I just, didn't have time to do it. Whereas hopefully I can revisit that down the road when I'm doing less of the stuff that I'm doing now and can start to focus on those sales things. But yeah, if you find a good strategy, and really volume is a big thing, the consistency in doing it, it's repetitions. I can't remember who said it, but if you close one deal and that deal is $5,000 and it takes you 100 messages to reach out before you close a deal, then you can just divide 5,000 by 100, which is 500, I think. So that means every message, no, maybe not. No, 50. Whatever, bad math. 50, I think it's 50. That means every message you send, you're making $50, whether they say yes or no. So if you look at it like that, it makes total sense. And then every message I send, I'm just gonna boom, $50 sent, boom, $50, boom, $50. Obviously, you have to maintain that $5,000 every 100 messages sent. But if you can break it down that way, it makes it much easier. It almost turns it into just a numbers game rather than an emotional game of, oh, this person didn't answer me, or oh, they didn't want to go to a strategy call, whatever that is.
Mm-hmm. And I think that helps a lot with rejection at the same time, because you're probably going to be dealing with that. And yeah, so
it's funny. Before we move on, that actually came up.
Yeah.
I was in Bismarck for my cousin's birthday party, and we were in a golf tournament. And we went to a restaurant after, and he invited some of his friends out. And one of his wife's friends was a girl that I had messaged on LinkedIn. And she's like, do you remember when you messaged me on LinkedIn? And I was like, honestly, no. I messaged thousands of people. I probably don't. I probably was a copy and paste message to you, and I'm sorry. She's like, I felt so bad I didn't get back to you. It was like 2 weeks, and I didn't see it, and then I didn't want to answer because it was so long. And I was like, no worries. I was like, no worries. No skin off my nose. I said I was definitely going to try to sell you on spending some money. So, and then we had a good laugh about it. So, yeah, honestly, the more you send, the more you forget about them. Like, I literally ran into someone, and I had never met them before. So, funny enough.
Yeah, that's kind of ironic. And then I'd say there's probably other ways to expand, but I feel like this is maybe the last one, and just one that we came up with is social media marketing. You could be on so many different platforms like Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube. I know YouTube's a big one for you, especially because you got your videos on there. So I think those are just some of the big platforms that you could be on to help branch out, gain awareness, and try and gain new customers in new markets. So I think those are a few of the big ones that, if you do want to expand, I think those are beneficial. Do you have any others that you could think of?
No, I don't think so. Social media is a big one. I lack on it all the time. I really need to get back into it and take advantage of the paid side of the social media. So any of the advertising, whether it's Google ads or Facebook ads or, TikTok ads, Instagram ads, whatever it is, even ads that are outside of social media like billboards or radio, whatever it is, those are all ways to start to expand your local presence into a larger presence, you could say. There's a law firm called Nicolette Law. Have you heard of it?
Mm-hmm. No.
I don't know where he's at, but he's got billboards in Minot. He's got billboards in wherever, and I think he's from like the Midwest somewhere, like Minnesota. So this guy's going all over, and I know his name. I was seeing commercials from him and everything. So that's just one example. If you can take advantage of these advertising opportunities, whether it's paid or organic, the more faces you can get in front of, the more brand awareness you can build.
Maybe he's just trying to test out the markets, run as many different advertising campaigns as possible, and try and get some numbers.
Yeah, see what works.
Exactly. Throwing shit at the wall.
Tyler, anything else before we get into this week's business idea?
No, I don't think so. I think it just depends on your goals. If you're happy with doing what you're doing and you want to stay local, that's fine. And if you want to expand, I think there's lots of different ways that you can get out there and can definitely expand. But I think building that foundation is key.
Yeah, like decide what you want to do. If you want to stay small, that's totally fine. If you want to go big, build that foundation locally, and then just keep in mind that it does take a while. It's not going to happen overnight. Might take you 5, 10, 15 years before you're at where you want to be, but it's going to be worth it in the end.
Consistency and reps.
I like it. Tyler, what's this week's business idea?
So it came down to me getting new bottles for my bike for the Ironman because I need liter bottles, or I wouldn't say I need it, but like I think
want it.
Maybe I need it. I don't know. Pardon?
You want it.
Yeah. So because like I've been running on my training days, my 6-hour training days, I would go out for 3 hours and then I would come back halfway through and then I would refill my bottles and then I would head back out. So I would total about 3 liters of water. And it just made me think, because like I had to go out and buy these, it's not even a liter, it's like just shy of a liter, which kind of pissed me off, and these bottles are so expensive. But maybe the quality would not be there, but like, those like slinky things where you can like compress them into each other. Yep. So maybe it's like a 500 milliliter bottle, but like you can stretch it out and then it becomes like 750, or you can stretch it out and it becomes like a liter. So instead of having like, and then it's like a different variations of whatever size you need. Maybe you're only on a 2-hour bike ride and you only need 750 milliliters of water. So it's like, I'm going to adjust it to 750. Or maybe you're on a 2.5-hour ride and you're like, I need a liter. So then you just like pull the little slinky thing and then it's like, I got a liter now. So it just kind of made me think of that, because now I have like three close to liter bottles. I have 2 750 milliliter bottles and 3 500 milliliter bottles. So it'd be nice if I had
consolidate a little bit.
Yeah, if there was like adjustable option. I don't know if it would compromise the quality of the bottle, because then it might be harder to grab out of the actual bottle holder. But yeah, it just made me think of that, and because like it was honestly a struggle to find liter bottles. I technically didn't even find liter bottles, so that kind of annoyed me. But maybe if there was an option to have adaptable bottles would be nice.
I love that idea, actually. I'm almost thinking I have a strainer like that, a colander, I guess people call it. But it folds up into a flat, almost like a plate. And then when I want to strain something, I push it down, and it turns into a little bowl, pour the stuff in there, and then I got to flatten it again. If you could do some sort of bottle like that, and I think even if you did, to avoid the problem where the bottle doesn't fit in the bottle holder, just make it that maybe the first bottom 6 inches is that universal bottle holder, and then on top, the top part of it is the slinky part. So
exactly what I'm thinking. Maybe there's like a locking mechanism, because like there's the thing on the back of my bike. So how the bottle works is basically exactly what you said. It goes up and then it goes in and then it goes back out. And that's where like there's a little latch that kind of like hooks onto that to keep it in place. So that's going to be the same. And then the top part is potentially where the collapsible thing is. And maybe there's a lock at each one. So it's like 500, 750 in one. Yeah. And there's like a lock. So when you go to pull it out, it doesn't just open up. say you're at 500, so maybe there's got to be like a lock on it or something, and I think that would be beneficial.
Or you have to twist it to get the next layer up. Or twist, yeah.
Yeah, I like that.
I like
there
that.
You go.
I like that. Even as you're drinking it, you can make the bottle smaller, too.
Yeah, true.
So it's like, I drank the first half. Now I just got half a water bottle.
More aerodynamic.
I like that. Yeah, that's a pretty good business idea there, Tyler. I like that one.
Thank you. It was a last second idea, so yeah, and it's just recent, just stuff that came up. So yeah,
I like it. Someone actually do that one, Tyler, but I probably have no use for it. But anyway, walk around a Vegas casino with my drinks in it.
Start with the liter and then you slowly go down.
Yeah, exactly.
And then you know exactly when you need a refill.
Yep, and then I pull it back up and I'm like, a refill. Here we go. I like that. So
perfect.
Cool. All right, well, let's wrap this up. Episode 97. Thank you guys for listening. Thank you guys for watching. Again, if you like the show us some love. Leave a like, a comment, a subscribe, a rating if you're listening on a podcast software. Send us an email. Share it with a friend. Share it with a family. Share it with a foe. Whatever you want to do. We appreciate you guys listening every single week. 3 more episodes until 100. It's going to be a good one. I don't know what we're going to do for it, Tyler, but that is for episode 97 from Easton and from Tyler. Tyler, get us out of here.
Oh, shoot. I'm not prepared.
Not prepared. Who is that quote by? Oh, shoot. I'm not prepared by Tyler Sinden. I'll keep stalling until he gets a quote. Did you guys notice that?
I wasn't even going to look it up.
Not going to. All right. I can just end it. Do you want to find one or do you want me to stall?
Filibuster.
All right, filibuster. So I'm a lobbyist. Did you guys notice that I did the episode, if you're watching, with a piece of paper today? That's because I forgot my computer at the office, and I had to print it off with a piece of paper. So Tyler did all the notes. I appreciate that. He's kind of looking at me like he's got a quote, so we're going to send it over to Tyler. Get us out of here.
This is the first one I found. You can focus on things that are barriers, or you can focus on scaling the wall or redefining the problem. Tim Cook.